When the sun comes up on America, across open fields, small towns, and city streets, a new day begins. And here, we rise with it. This is where hard work meets headlines, where truth matters, and America wakes up informed.
An interesting week.
They all are.
This is your country. This is your morning. This is Daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. America, let's do it together.
Love you, Ivy.
Love you too.
And it starts right now.
All right, welcome to it after a long holiday break. Greatly appreciate you being here. Got a lot of things accomplished here. We'll talk about that coming up. In the relentless pursuit of freedom, I welcome you this morning. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, President Trump working to get the economy back on track. Oil fell below $90 a barrel. Gas falling, but for how long? That's always the big question. Number two, the president also working to put Americans first at the bank and keep illegals from obtaining credit or participating in the system at all. He wants Americans to come first. Pretty important. And number three, yesterday, of course, marked Memorial Day, a day when we set aside the noise of politics and come together to remember the true cost of our freedom. I hope yesterday you joined those across this great nation who paused to honor the men and women who answered the call of duty so the rest of us could sleep safely in our beds. From small-town parades to the sacred grounds of Arlington National Cemetery, I saw Americans show up with grateful hearts and heavy eyes. Flags flew at half-staff, bagpipes played. And for a few precious hours, we were reminded what truly binds us together as one nation under God. At Arlington, President Donald J. Trump stood tall, as he always does, in moments like this. You could see the weight of leadership on his shoulders, but also the deep respect and love he has for our military. Here's a portion of those comments from yesterday. Listen.
From 1776 to 2026, America has always stood as a great and moral cause. Our warriors are no mere mercenaries. They are guardian angels who stride across the battlefields of history and stand watch over the highest and most beautiful plains the human spirit has ever seen, holding the line between liberty and tyranny, between civilization and barbarism, between good and evil. Wherever the American soldier walks, wherever he fights, wherever he fails, and wherever he falls, he does it for the destiny of a nation like no other. There's never been anybody like you. And for the fate of freedom on this earth, we salute you like nobody has ever been saluted before.
More than just a script, it was conviction from the heart. From an administration that understands the cost of putting America first and shows gratitude for it. Vice President J.D. Vance shared a beautiful tribute as well, humanizing the cost that our fallen angels, our guardian angels, have paid. Here he is.
That all of us owe a debt. That we owe a debt to the people who went overseas and gave their lives that the United States might be prosperous and peaceful and free. That we owe a debt to the people who put on a uniform knowing they might never come back. And indeed, today we pay tribute to those who never came back. I think about all the things that they gave, which can't be measured in dollars or in the things of this world, but are measured in things like weddings that they never got to attend, children that they never saw grow up, daughters and sons that they never got to hug and kiss again, loved ones, husbands and wives. They traded every moment, from the moment where they gave their lives to the moment where they would ultimately meet their natural end. Every single one of those moments they gave up that the United States might remain the freest and best country in the entire world.
It was a beautiful service. It reminded all Americans what it looks like to hold your head up with pride for a country that many have fought and died for. President Trump also laid the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, of course, with solemn dignity. He walked among the rows of white crosses, each one representing a life given in service to this exceptional nation. In his remarks at the Memorial Amphitheater, Trump spoke powerfully about duty, sacrifice, and the unbreakable American spirit. And today, his words carry special meaning. honoring 13 fallen heroes from Operation Epic Fury. 13 American warriors who made that ultimate sacrifice in the conflict with Iran. Here's what he said.
One, in Operation Epic Fury, we lost 13 wonderful souls, wonderful, special people. These incredible men and women gave their lives to ensure that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror will never have a nuclear weapon. Oh, and they won't. They will never have a nuclear weapon. I'm sure you know that. One of them was Major Ariana Savino Lindsay, and we're joined by her great family, Omira, Darren, Zevin, and Wick. Stand up, please. Please. There he is. There he is. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vic. Thank you very much. To all of you, Ariana's selfless gift will not be in vain. Our debt to you is everlasting, and it's always going to end in victory. We're having victories all over the place, more than we've had in many, many decades.
It's the kind of leader we have right now, one who feels the gravity of these losses and carries them with him every day in the Oval Office, which is more than anyone can say for President Biden, who never even named the 13 service members who lost their lives in his disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal at Abbey Gate. These 13 didn't die for endless wars or vague international commitments. They died defending America first. They died pushing back against a regime in Tehran that has spent decades exporting terror, attacking our shipping lanes, and killing our people. And as Trump stood there paying tribute to their courage, it was impossible not to see the direct line from their sacrifice to the urgent work happening right now on the world stage. Because while we mourned our fallen, President Trump continues working around the clock to secure a deal with Iran that brings this conflict to an honorable conclusion. This isn't some desperate rush for a legacy moment. It's not. This is calculated America First diplomacy, backed by the real results of our military has achieved during the entirety of Operation Epic Fury. Trump has made it clear, we're not going to accept a weak, half-measure agreement that lets the mullahs keep funding terrorism or inching toward a nuclear weapon. No more pallets of cash flying out in the middle of the night like we saw under previous administrations. No more treating Iran like a misunderstood partner. Secretary Marco Rubio is setting the record straight for the naysayers. Here's what he said.
I don't think anyone's been tougher on the Iranian nuclear ambition than President Trump. Understand, okay? Again, I don't know what some of these individual comments have been from different sectors of our politics in the United States, but I will say this. There is no one who has been stronger on this issue than President Trump. Okay? Multiple political leaders, multiple presidents of the United States have all said the same thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The only one who's tried to do anything and has actually done anything about it in a real way has been President Trump. So his commitment to that principle that they'll never have a nuclear weapon shouldn't be questioned by anybody. And the idea that somehow this president, given everything he's already proven he's willing to do, is going to somehow agree to a deal that ultimately winds up putting Iran in a stronger position when it comes to nuclear ambitions is absurd. That's just not going to happen. But our preference...
Yeah. Marco Rubio, proven himself to be one of the best. We'll have more in reflection after this. All right, let's get an update now on Iran. From the latest reports coming out of the negotiations, real progress is being made, but still work to be done. The framework for reopening the Strait of Hormuz safely is advancing. We are told ceasefire elements are on the table despite some self-defense attacks over the last 24 hours. Trump's team is pressing for strict verification measures and guarantees that protect American interests and our allies throughout the region and throughout the world. And the president himself has been guiding the process with the same instincts that brought us the Abraham Accords and took out Soleimani. He's told his negotiators not to rush just to get a headline. Get it right, make it strong, put America first. That's the difference. That is the difference. Weak leadership created the conditions for this mess. Endless appeasement and apologies invited aggression, but President Trump understands that peace comes through strength. By honoring those 13 fallen, he reminded all of us that their sacrifice demands we finish the job properly. Not by staying in perpetual conflict, but by forcing a deal that actually deters future threats. I have zero doubt he'll get it done. Donald Trump has spent his entire life closing big deals, and this one, securing the best possible outcome for our nation and preventing more American deaths, is the most important of all. You can't deny it. He's working hard, he's staying focused, and he will deliver. Now, we're already seeing some positive signs from this progress. The price of oil has been coming down in recent days as markets sense that the end of this conflict may be in sight. In fact, it went below $90 a barrel yesterday. It's at about $91 right now. Here's National Economic Advisor Kevin Hassett weighing in.
We've already seen signs that people are a little bit wary about buying oil on the spot market right now because they expect the price to drop a lot sometime soon. And so that's a very, very good sign. And if you're talking about inflation, there are a lot of other great signs in inflation. You saw that President Trump set up his Trump RX, expanded his Trump RX effort to get drug prices down. And we just had a big event in the Oval to help get grocery prices down. And so I think that if you look at the last few data reports, then the energy prices were absolutely concerning, but the core was barely moving at all. And I think that as soon as we get energy prices going back down, you could actually be looking at negative inflation because of the energy price going down.
We'll see how that plays out, and that's welcome relief for American families and businesses still feeling the squeeze from years of bad energy policies. Every cent lower at the pump helps working people. We are cheaper today than we were a week ago. It's small, but a real reminder that when America leads from strength, good things tend to follow. But more than anything else, yesterday was about remembering who we are. We're a nation of warriors and builders. We grieve our losses, but we never let grief turn into weakness. We honor the fallen by staying vigilant, by supporting a strong military, and by backing leaders who refuse to let their sacrifices be wasted. President Trump gets that. He's shown it time and again. While the media and the usual Washington crowd try to paint him as reckless, the truth is he's the only one willing to make the tough calls necessary to actually bring stability. He honors our troops not with empty words, but with decisive action aimed at victory, not stalemate. So as we move forward this week, let's carry the spirit of Arlington with us. Let's remember those 13 heroes and all the others who rest in our national cemeteries. Let's support President Trump as he works to secure that strong deal with Iran, the kind of deal that prevents future memorials from having to add more names. Let's stay proud, stay strong, and stay committed to the idea that America remains the greatest force for good the world has ever known. And to the families of the fallen, we see you. We remember. We will not forget. To our active duty men and women, thank you for your service. We stand with you and behind you. And to President Trump, keep fighting for the best deal. America is watching, and we're with you. And that's the monologue. Also today, the president's political power will be back on display in Texas. It's been quite a month, as you know. President Trump flexing his political muscle in places like Indiana and Kentucky and elsewhere around this country as he gets rid of those that don't stand with him and brings in people who will work with this administration to put America first every single time. Ken Paxton, the challenger, the attorney general in Texas, got the president's nod here just a couple of days ago. John Cornyn, the veteran senator from Texas. Now, President Trump said nice things about him. Said he's worked well, but in important moments, he was not there. And that's why he endorsed Ken Paxton. They will take on Tallarico, of course, the radical Democrat who was created in the image of Bernie Sanders, apparently, James Tallarico, a guy who says he's a minister but speaks like anything but. So that's happening in Texas today. We'll, of course, be following it on Real America's Voice and elsewhere throughout the day and have more coverage for you this evening. So if you want to stay up to date on everything that's happening with this, and this is a big one. This might be the most important one of all. Can Donald Trump get Ken Paxton into the United States Senate? I think that either man wins over Tallarico, but we'll have to wait and find out. It'll be a tough fight, and Texas will benefit from millions of dollars in advertising because the Democrats continue to believe that they can turn Texas blue. They can't, but they continue to chase that pipe dream, and good for them. Spend all your money. That way you can't waste it in other places. That's important stuff, too, so we'll keep weighing in on that. Did you know that most people don't get enough DHA? It's a key nutrient that your brain relies on for memory and focus. DHA is necessary for healthy brain function and may help support heart health and metabolic health. In fact, inadequate DHA levels in the brain have been linked to Alzheimer's disease. The good news is that Longevity contains 180 milligrams DHA and 250 milligrams of omega-3 oils per serving. Longevity is a complete nutritional support that gives you everything you need to age well. We use it here every day. The kids use it, I've used it, and I use it. You should too. All the nice emails I get. LongevityWellness.co. Go there, enter the promo code Gruber at checkout. You'll get a big discount. And if you become a subscriber and get just a monthly delivery, you'll save even more money. LongevityWellness.co. Enter the promo code Gruber at checkout for a special discount, like I said. I'll take a break and be back. Nice to see you as we have just 4 days this week to get it all done. We'll pack it in. We'll be right back. All right, well, the oil price at this hour, $92.33. All right, so for comparison, that's almost $40 a barrel less than it was in July of 2022. And yet, gas prices creeped up close, if not over $5, which is where we were in July of 2022. None of this makes sense, of course. But every time there's a discussion about the war in Iran, it seems that oil prices come down. And then there's this headline screaming, oil could stay above $100 for years. Is it 92? It was $89 last night. Gas down today as well, but not as much as we would like, but down nonetheless. The price of gas, national average, $4.49. Down since yesterday, down from a week ago by about 4 cents. Still above a month ago, and a year ago was $3.17 national average. So we're going to go back to those numbers, I am sure of it. Just a matter of how long this takes. But let's be clear about this. Donald Trump says we're 95% of the way to a deal with Iran, 95%. And that could be the toughest 5% we see in a long time. You see, the conversation over nuclear weapons really isn't a conversation. It really isn't negotiable. We'll see how this all plays out and keep a close eye on it for you, of course. If you have kids in sports, it's almost football season. Two-a-days will start in August, of course. In NeuroGuard Plus, you can stop concussions before they happen. Dr. Michael Hutchinson patented a breakthrough mouth guard for athletes in every sport. It is a game changer. Athletes using NeuroGuard Plus suffer concussions just 0.26% of the time or less. It's almost unheard of. It really is. And it gets better. This mouth guard can boost your strength and speed up to 16%. You can lift more weight. You can run higher. Jump higher, run faster. Don't take my word for it. Michigan State and Wayne State have tested it and certified the results. Protect your brain and upgrade your performance. Go to NeuroGuardPlus.com. Save 10% with the promo code Gruber. NeuroGuardPlus.com. Look, my kid's been using this mouth guard playing football for several years. No concussions for him. Now, that's just one small study group, but it's the study group I care about because it's my kid. NeuroGuardPlus.com. Check it out. Save some money and keep your head in the game. I'll be right back. Let's dive right back into it now. We all remember here a few weeks ago when several Democrats came out and told soldiers, don't obey illegal orders. Many of those same Democrats were demanding that everybody comply with the COVID jab. And in the military, they were told, you get the jab or maybe you're out of work. Some obeyed, others refused, all paid a price. Joining me now is Mary Holland, president of the Children's Health Defense and been involved in the health freedom movement for a couple of decades. She previously served as CHC's general counsel overseeing litigation on vaccine mandates, exemptions, informed consent, free speech, and government regulation. There's a brand new movie out discussing this, Duty to Disobey. Duty to Disobey. Mary, good morning.
Morning, Steve.
Nice to see you again. Look, this is an important film because it reveals what happened to those who refused. Now, most of that, if not all of it, has been overturned in subsequent years, but for years, these people were in limbo, out of work, out of a paycheck. A lot of them were short on hope, but they're back now because of the steady pushback by those who said, wait a second, you can't force people to take a jab they don't want. And it's an unlawful order, many would say. Mary, what are your thoughts?
Well, first, Steve, the film is going to be in theaters on June 30th, and people can sign up now to go to those theaters, dutytodisobeyfilm.org. And it truly is an extraordinary film about what happened in the military. So it was absolutely an unconstitutional order that forced people in the service to take an experimental jab. Although the order from Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, said, go get the Comirnaty shot, the Comirnaty FDA approved shot was not available in the country. They wanted to go through the experimental version, the EUA version, emergency use authorization version first, because they had a stockpile of that. And so literally people in service were being required to take something that was illegal. You cannot force people in the military to take an EUA shot. That had been determined in anthrax. And so 100,000 resisted, 100,000 during that time committed suicide. And yes, you're right that some people are being restored. Secretary of War Hegseth has said, we want you back. We want warriors of conscience. But in truth, as the film points out, there's really been no accountability for the institution yet. Like, why did they have unconstitutional illegal orders? And so many of the people who were discharged won't go back. They do want to have their records restored, but they feel like there hasn't been the kind of accountability or reckoning that needs to happen.
So what can we expect to see in this film? Like you said, it comes out June 30th. You can pre-register now and get a chance to see this movie. It's important. Look, these same Democrats that came out a few weeks ago targeting Donald Trump with this ambiguous claim of don't follow illegal orders, which of course he's not given. But we do know that illegal orders were given to the military during the COVID years. And this is just one example of that. So what can we expect to see in this film?
It's really an extraordinary documentary, Steve. So it interviews probably about 20 different people, many of whom disobeyed, some of whom took the shots and were catastrophically injured. The military runs on obeying orders. So nobody is saying that people in the military don't have to obey orders. They do. But they have a duty in the Code of Military Conduct to disobey an illegal or an unconstitutional order. And this one was black and white. It was illegal. It was very clear that you can't force people in the military to take something that's experimental. And the only thing that was available to them to follow that order was experimental. It wasn't what the order said. It wasn't Comirnaty. It was Pfizer-BioNTech. And so there were plenty of people who said, no, I can't do it. Also, many of them, Steve, as you remember, all of those COVID shots used aborted fetal cell lines in their development. And many of these warriors of conscience simply could not do that based on their religious convictions. And one of the real problems during COVID, not only in the military, but in the civilian world, was they really didn't have an adequate religious accommodation procedure. And that's one of the calls to action from this film is we need that in the military as we need it in the civilian world. People cannot be forced in the United States to go against their conscience for something like this. There needs to be an accommodation.
Yeah, and vaccine coercion in the military far worse than it would be in the general population, because if you don't get the jab, you don't have a job. We will kick you out of the military. And that's what happened. to tens of
It
thousands.
is what
Now,
happened.
most of those have been reinstated. I think by and large reinstated, back pay given because of victories in court. But that took years for many of these
Well,
folks.
not even most. Yes, there is a way, and some of them have been reinstated, but not all of them. There's still real issues there. But some of these people were left homeless, Steve. They'd been in the military for 17 years with perfect records, and they were thrown out. They were in medical debt. They had no medical insurance. They had no income for their families. What happened to these people was just it was outrageous. And why it's so important for everybody to see this film, Steve, is that what happens in the military often ultimately happens in the civilian population. As one person, the head of our military chapter, Pam Long, says, this is a dress rehearsal for the next pandemic. 1.3 million people in the US military with staff and all of the people there. This was an incredible control group, if you will. And what happened was terrifying. And so everybody in this country should really want to know what happened and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second, because I want to know where we are today. If something happened today and there was another pandemic of some sort, real or imagined, doesn't matter, and the military said you have to take these shots, is there any defense for a military member now to say no?
Yes. So if it's experimental, they by law have the right to say no. The people who said no by law had the right to say no. If it's FDA approved, Steve, they don't have the right to say no. So unless they have a religious reason for saying, they have a religious exemption or a medical exemption. So we know that some people can't take like things that contain aluminum or certain different things to which they might be allergic.
Right.
And one of the other terrifying things that happened during COVID in the military is they were denying military exemptions. We pray that would not happen again. But in truth, there's not until there has been some kind of reckoning within the military, and in our view at Children's Health Defense, a broader reckoning in society about what happened to COVID. Yes, it could still happen again.
The movie is Duty to Disobey, comes out June 30th. Mary, tell them again where they can find out more, maybe do some pre-reading and some studying, and then go catch the film. Go ahead.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, dutytodisobeyfilm.org. You can see a really powerful 5-minute trailer. You can read about it, and you can buy a ticket so that you can see it in the theaters. After June 30th, we will make it available to everybody, but going to the theaters will be particularly important, not only to be with other people, but in many of these theaters across the country, we will have service members, we will have people from Children's Health Defense, we will have a conversation after the film.
Mary, thank you very much. Good conversation, an important one to keep having, to say, look, we can't allow that to continue in this form for sure. Mary Holland, thank you.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. After the break, I'm going to take a look at the economy, the price of oil, the price of gasoline, and what's happening in the markets. All straight ahead. The price we paid for freedom is remarkable. And what's strange is that so few people actually get it. You would think that everybody gets it. But my next guest, Nick Hopwood, no lazy money with Nick Hopwood. He had just an unusual revelation yesterday. Nick, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
And I want you to share this story because we're talking about it in the break, and I'm like, you can't be serious. Tell us what you were told yesterday, because to me it's a little stunning. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, we haven't had some very, very good weather lately, Steve. So it was about 78 degrees, blue skies, sunny. So, hey, we're having some friends over for a boat ride.
Right.
So they bring the whole family, and we're cruising down the river, getting some ice cream, drinking a couple pops. And, it's Memorial Day. And so their daughter, the 10th grade girl, she says, Mom, what is Memorial Day all about? And I let Mom answer. And Mom answered very well, talking about respect and tribute for those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. But it just made me think, gosh, we have to do better. I mean, maybe we've taught the lessons about what Memorial Day means, but it really isn't sinking in for everybody.
Yeah, very true. In fact, you educate your family. I try to do the best with mine. You take it to the extra level. There's a photograph on the screen there. Tell the folks about this picture.
Sure. This is in Normandy, France. This is 2023 with my son Hunter with his high school group. When we had the chance to take this World War II trip, I jumped at the opportunity because not only did I, respect the educational opportunity for the kids, but I wanted to go for myself to be, in that spot. And the photo here, it doesn't really do the moment justice. So anyone who has the chance to make it to Normandy, needs to take that trip.
Yeah. What a remarkable place to be. I've not been there. You and I have talked about it a number of times. But I guess the point here is we need to do a better job teaching our kids. And it's not, you can say, well, the schools are doing a lousy job. Yeah, there's some truth to that. But it's our responsibility, isn't it?
It is. And I think the schools, they do a fine job. They can do better, but we can also do better as well.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we have a bit of a war going on now. Every time the president talks about peace in Iran, the price of oil comes down to $89 last night. It's at about 92 this morning. But it's, that's almost $40 a barrel less than it was in the summer of 2022. And yet gas is still really expensive. It doesn't track for me, but what's going on in the economy?
Well, we have stock markets at all-time high, and the market is surging this morning based on Trump's comments over the weekend with, things getting nearly wrapped up, as he says. Now, oil has come down, like you said, but interestingly, when we look at the surveys for consumer confidence, University of Michigan, all-time low in consumer confidence. So that has me scratching my head because we have all-time highs in the stock market and all-time lows in consumer confidence. And I think a lot of people are looking at those gas prices.
They are. But again, historically speaking, we're nowhere near where gas was in 2008 or 2009. Even during Joe Biden's time in 2022, we haven't reached that level. We came close this time. And it's always something that really concerns people. However, the economy is in better shape than many people give it credit for. I mean, look around. It was gas prices more expensive, and yet it was an all-time record-setting Memorial Day for travel. All-time record set, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, the surveys don't make sense. I think that we have this K-shaped economy right now where people who own assets are enjoying their real estate values up, enjoying their stock values up. And then there's the have-nots who don't own any assets, and they're dealing with slower wage inflation compared to the overall CPI, and they're not benefiting from asset inflation. And so I think that K-shaped is a good way to describe what we're seeing right now.
So when you look at opportunities right now, I mean, my guess, and look, this is a guess, but I believe this war with Iran will be wrapped up in the short term, not the long term. I don't know if that means another month, another 2 months, but I would say well before Election Day, this will be wrapped up. That's my guess. And when that happens and oil falls to $75 a barrel and gas drops back down $1 a gallon or whatever by Election Day, and you look at the markets that are all-time record highs, you see the things that the president and the administration are doing with things like crypto, and you got to go, wow, things could really go well, couldn't they?
They absolutely could. I mean, we're looking at GDP at 4% right now with oil at these levels. And so, a higher oil price is a tax. If the tax goes down, then that could enhance GDP further. There was a lot of chat about GDP hitting 6% this year. That would be certainly a stretch from where we are now. But yes, things could, if this gets behind us and the market is telling us that it should be over soon, then yes, the economy is looking very good.
Look at the Dow futures today, plus 250 or more. The Dow's at almost 51,000. I mean, if you're in the market, you're probably pretty pleased. If you're retired, you're probably pretty pleased. But we still have all that debt hanging over our head, Nick. That debt concerns me long term, but right now it's looking pretty healthy. I'll give you the last word here.
Yeah, Steve, one thing that is on my radar is that the dividend yield for the S&P 500 is as low as it's ever been, about 1.1%. So a lot of clients are hungry for yield, and they're just not getting it from the traditional stock dividend plays. Fixed income, we're looking at 5 and 6%, which is strong. But a lot of people are turning to derivative income, which is options. So selling calls, selling puts. It's much more complicated, much more technical than dividends. But we're looking at opportunities for income in the high single digit, even 10% range.
Wow,
so
that'd be
someone
remarkable.
someone who's starving for yield could carefully consider derivative income as the new dividend income.
And if you want to find out more, go to peakwm.com, Peak Wealth Management, of course, peakwm.com. Nick will give you some bonus time, maybe a free analysis of your Social Security if you're about to retire or what you're going to do next. Trust people that do their homework and go learn about history. That's why I trust Nick Hopwood, everybody. Nick, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
peakwm.com. Give Nick a ring, and maybe you guys can figure some things out and help out your income. I'll take a break and be back. This is State Break. All right, so here's something I mentioned at the top of the program today, and it could have impact. A couple of things here, and I'll have more on this coming up. But Indiana continues to arrest commercial drivers who are operating on their roads and freeways that can't read English or speak the language or understand road signs. Makes sense. Most of those commercial licenses coming from New York and California. Go figure, right? You're surprised to hear that. So Indiana says, no, we're not doing that. Almost 300 CDs stopped and prosecuted over just the last 3 months. They're not playing games in Indiana. You drive here and you can't read English, you're going to lose your license. You're going to go to jail, as it should be. As it should be. Meanwhile, President Trump signing an executive order to stop banks from extending credit to illegals. I mean, how can you come to this country illegally? In order to get a loan, what do you have to go through? What do I have to go through? It's fairly intense, actually. Here's all your paperwork. Here's your income levels. Here's your tax return. Whatever it might be to get a loan from a bank these days. And, of course, if you're in a business they don't like, if you're gun manufacturing or sales, they'll just say, well, we can't help you at all. So you've got that going on. Anyhow, the president signed an executive order to stop banks from extending credit to illegal aliens, citing security. That happened Tuesday. The order, titled Restoring Integrity to America's Financial System, also calls for an end to the transfer of what Trump calls low-dollar cross-border funds because they have been used to facilitate to commit terrorist financing, narcotics trafficking, human trafficking, and other illegal activity, including the laundering of Chinese money. The laundering of Chinese money. Now, none of this is surprising, but it's angering. It shouldn't be happening. Anyhow, the president trying to do what's right for you and I. Maybe loans will get a little bit easier for you and I because banks will be sitting on more money because they're not pumping it into the illegal alien markets. Just something to consider. All right? We'll take a break. Glad to see you here. It's going to be a short week, but a busy week, to say the least. We're watching to see if something gets signed with Iran. We're told that it's close, but we've been told that before. This is Daybreak. Nice to see you. We'll be back in just a moment.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now on Real America's Voice.
All right, let's kick it into high gear as we head into hour number 2 here on a Tuesday on the short week. But hey, hope you had a great weekend. Here are 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1, radical California leftist and billionaire Tom Steyer, the Democrats' best chance for keeping power and destroying the state once and for all as the governor. He's all in for trans rights over women's rights. I don't think that helps him. Number 2, in Virginia, the radical new gun control laws that will certainly get struck down in the courts are already being ignored by constitutional prosecutors who are refusing to bring charges. And number 3, look, so many crazy things happening that I'm not sure where to start. How about the ticks? This is everywhere. How about the ticks getting people sick and making them allergic to red meat? Yeah, it's top of the conversation, and that is where we're starting this hour. So what's up with the ticks spreading this meat allergy? Let's get Ivy in here. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not because, and this kid that I found on social media yesterday kind of sums it up sort of for me. You and I were in the yard here and up north all weekend.
Yeah.
And we loved it.
That's great.
And I won several rounds of cornhole.
You sure did.
The bow on the end of all that. Anyhow,
you didn't cheat or anything.
I didn't cheat or anything. No, I didn't have to. Beat you, beat the kid, beat everybody. Anyhow, the point being is time in the yard, vitamin D, sunshine, all that. And that's kind of what this kid is saying. Listen.
I'm not scared of getting bit by a tick. This is because they want us to be scared of spending time in nature more than they want us to be allergic to red meat and dairy. I understand that if I get bit by a tick and somehow become allergic to red meat and dairy, allergies are not permanent. I can simply reintroduce small amounts of those superfoods into my diet until my body readjusts and no longer reacts negatively. There's way too many people online saying that they're not going to go outside in nature this summer because they don't want to become allergic to
be
red
outside.
meat and dairy.
Enough of
This
him.
is what it's all
All right.
about.
It's
So,
not stopping us,
listen,
Ivy. It's not
Steve-
stopping us. Go ahead.
This is called alpha-gal syndrome.
Correct.
AGS. It's a food allergy to a sugar molecule called galactose alpha-1, 3-galactose, which is alpha-gal. It is found in most mammals, and unlike most food allergy, this particular one is triggered by tick bites, especially the Lone Star tick in North America. Now, this isn't particularly new. The first case was identified and confirmed in 2008, clearly identified in 2008. And the CDC has estimated that between 2010 and 2022, more than 110,000 suspected cases were identified through testing. But it is kind of an odd thing where if you do get bit by this tick, then you have an allergy to red meats and anything that is related to an animal product. So it could be dairy products as well.
Right. You basically have to become a vegan. And this kid, he's got
Right.
my heart. No, I'm not going to be afraid to go outside. And we've seen more ticks this year because you hate them.
I hate them, and I have pulled them off my body. I've pulled them all off along my hairline. It is so gross. It's just like, but, I mean, we do have animals that go inside and outside every day. And they are all like, they have their tick medication, but they bring them inside. They carry them. So it's always good to do a tick check if you're outside, especially if you're wandering around in the woods, and just to make sure, you don't have anything on you. But I don't think it's something that you need to be afraid of.
Agreed.
If you do get bit, there are some things that you can do to kind of curtail it, but a lot of cases have shown to go away, and there are some severe cases, but those are very, very, very few.
Right.
So I don't think it's something to be afraid of. It's just that you need to be aware, hey, if I've been outside and all of a sudden I have an allergy, I might want to consider that.
Yeah. But you also hear all these stories, and I don't know if they're true or not. I've asked you, the listeners and the viewers, what do you know about these farmers finding these boxes that are loaded with ticks? Is there something going on that's nefarious? I don't know. but I'm willing to find out. I'm willing to listen to the facts, and this is the relentless pursuit of truth. We'll go wherever it leads.
Sure.
And if somebody's playing games with us to force us not to eat red meat, which is one of the climate change, pillars,
Right.
well, then we need to do something about that and hold people accountable. That's where I am with it. But in the meantime, look, we had a long winter. I want to be outside.
Absolutely.
Nick said he was on the water this weekend last hour. We didn't put the boat in, but we
It's
did
a good
get new
reason to get
batteries.
chickens, by the way.
What's
Let your
that?
chickens roam, and they love to eat ticks.
They
so.
do. Yeah. So we let them fly yesterday all over the yard.
Well, I have a question because we did have a pretty long, more intense winter, but everybody's saying again that this is the worst year ever for ticks. Don't we usually?
Yeah, but don't they say that about everything? Everything's the worst it's ever been. This is the worst storm, the worst this.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I mean,
Everything is unprecedented.
Yeah, everything's unprecedented. You're gonna die.
Fear mongering to
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
people inside. You think?
There's some of that. I mean, people hiding inside. If there were bears in the yard, I would hide inside. But other than that, I don't think.
Probably true.
Yeah, no, 100% true.
As long as I had a firearm, it'd be okay.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. But I don't know, Anthony. It is a bad tick season, but we've had bad tick seasons before. It just happens to be this Lone Star tick happens to carry this.
And it's it's
this
all
disease.
over. It's not just it's happening in Europe too, Australia, Asia, South Africa, South and Central America. It's not just the United States that is dealing with this Lone Star tick, but I don't think there's any particular rhyme or reason for them. It's just that they're spreading in population and
they're getting into it. Here in
getting
Michigan,
into
we have
your yard.
less concern than those in southern states. Southern states, obviously, hotter, moister, more ticks.
moisture.
Moister. Yeah, more wet.
I love that word.
Yeah, moister. What else you got? You can just give me a hard time today. What else you got?
So this very bizarre story: a dog accidentally fires a shotgun.
What?
Striking a woman yards away. So the dog is reportedly inside of a truck during a stop at a Nebraska gas station, sending a blast through the vehicle and injuring a woman in another vehicle several yards away.
So what? The gun's just laying there, and
The gun's just laying there. The dog's
Steps
jumping
on it.
up. Yeah. Steps on it and it fires. Crazy story. I mean, how bizarre.
and it hit somebody.
It hit somebody several yards away.
Was it bad, or did they survive?
This is a great question, Steve. Not a life-threatening injury, no.
Good.
But they were taken to the hospital for treatment, but nothing that shot in the upper portion of her right arm.
Gotcha. So she's yeah.
She'll be fine, but still bizarre, right?
Look,
Maybe
I'm a gun
not leave
owner.
your shotgun laying in the seat of your car that your dog can get to.
I'm going to guess that in Michigan, I know you can't during hunting season have a loaded
Without,
shotgun or
yeah.
rifle just flopping around in the back of the
No,
pickup.
you have to have it in a case.
Yeah, you have to. Now, if you carry concealed, that's a different story, obviously. What a strange story. So the dog
I
jumps
still
around.
don't think you want to have your firearm just like randomly sitting
First of
around.
all, you wouldn't allow it to happen.
Yeah.
You wouldn't allow me to do that because you're safety Sam around here. That would never happen with us, I can assure you, unless I was unsupervised, and then probably not either. Anyhow,
No, you're good.
what a strange story. Anyhow, Ivy, nice to see you today as always. Love you.
Nice to see you as well, Steve. Love you.
All right, so word to the wise, don't keep your shotgun on the back seat of the pickup truck going to the gas station when Fido is jumping around because you might shoot the neighbor. Let's not do that, friends. All right, we'll be back. This is Daybreak. Welcome back to the program. I want to share a story with you this morning that's the kind of story you don't want to hear. People taking advantage of the elderly. In this interconnected world, it seems to be happening more and more. How about an 89-year-old woman in Louisville, Kentucky, gets her home stolen when she's not doing anything wrong? Not at all. Listen to this.
Dorothy Tarpon bought her Parkland neighborhood home over 50 years ago. But in June, someone obtained it through a quitclaim deed, a process usually used when friends or family take possession of a house.
Do y'all know y'all stealing this house from an old lady?
Tarpon's great niece filmed this confrontation with two men moving furniture out of the home. They told her the homeowner was dead.
Ashley told him, ain't Dorothy ain't dead.
That's right.
LMPD confirmed the suspected fraud is under investigation. Shattered furniture still sits in the backyard. Then there's the for sale sign and the no trespassing sign, which the family says the trespassers actually put here. Once the property value administrator found out about the error with the deed, they pulled the names of those trespassers off. Nieces Tina Mack and Alpha Johnson remember the home fondly.
Everything was beautiful, and for someone to do that to her it's really disgusting.
And the hardest part about it is it's real easy for him to take her home with fraudulent documents, but we have to file a civil suit to get it back.
Can you imagine that happening to your parents or your grandparents or somebody else you know or care about? Unbelievable. And with this interconnected world that I mentioned, it seems to be happening more often. Natalie Dominguez is a title theft education specialist for Home Title Lock. She's here to reflect on this. Right, Natalie, good morning. Nice to see you today.
Good morning.
I mean, this is just, and the number of people that I see that are retired, senior citizens getting targeted this way seems to be all too common. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so let me kind of walk you through what happened here and what seems to be happening more and more. So these scammers, these criminals, these people trying to take advantage will generally walk through a neighborhood or look up some documentation online of people that are elderly homeowners, homes that were purchased, 30, 40, 50 plus years ago. And they will target these homes because they're either not being watched, like in this case, Miss Dorothy was either staying with family or she wasn't currently living in the home. They'll watch homes that don't have people coming in and out of them all the time, or it could be a stranger on the street or a rogue caretaker, someone that knows that there's a house unoccupied. And when a home is not being watched, that's where they start taking advantage. So in this case, what they did was they targeted a home that was not being lived in, was not being watched. They got information that they needed to online. They forged a signature, they forged the document, and it's so easy to file because there are no authentication processes happening at the county records office.
Yeah,
so just a fake document.
Yeah, to get it back, you have to file a civil suit. There's too many states have no laws on the books to address this sort of fraud, and it is fraud. And if you think it doesn't happen too often, 6 blocks away from that residence, Patricia Wright's name was yanked off the deed from a house she bought in 1992. She was just coming back from Desert Storm when that happened. So this neighborhood's had it happen more than once, and these stories are all too prevalent. Again, we're all interconnected now. We've got the internet and social media. We're all interconnected. And so going and searching properties, I do it when I'm looking to buy a property. If I want to see what the property is or what the real estate market is in a different community, I just look online. Apparently, so do thieves.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that your public record is an incredible thing, and it was created for a certain reason, but now everything's accessible online. So they got her information online, they got the property record information online, they got probably her signature online from something that was posted. It's so easy to find all this information. And the ironic thing is there was another story recently out of Illinois where there are all those like information scrubbing cool tech things that we have now that take your information off the internet. One, it can't take public record off the internet, so that's one thing it can't do. Two, now we're seeing criminals use that to scrub other information off the internet outside of public record. And we had a scammer use that to basically wipe the existence of a homeowner off of any mainstream website that is public record. And say that he was deceased and the home is in my name. So we see it used for good and we see it used for evil, and it's just horrendous that people take advantage like this.
Yeah, there may be a time when we shouldn't have public access like that because of this, but until then, you got to protect yourself because these things are happening, as we said. Especially I see these elderly people being targeted, but it's not just them. Like you said, if you're off on duty for the military, you can be gone for 6 months or a year, and people look at that, they walk through the neighborhood and say, hey, let's find that house. Next thing you know, your house isn't your house anymore because it's really hard to get back in most states. That's a fact, isn't it?
Yeah. And time is of the essence when it comes to this, right? So if you're not being watchful, if you're away, if you're deployed, any way for you to not jump in and immediately take care of it, like the criminals in this case, their goal obviously is to sell the property for quick cash, right? They're throwing everything out on the lawn. They have a for sale sign up. We're seeing that more and more. It used to be more taking out the loans, but now it's just easy because you can sell a property online without ever meeting anyone in person. Quick wire transfer, you've got, $20, $30, $40,000 in cash
Happens
for
every
something
day.
that's worth 200 to 400,
Yeah, happens
And then you're
every day. People buying and selling property online. All right, so Home Title Lock, they stand in the gap for this kind of threat, and it is a threat.
Yes.
What does Home Title Lock offer?
So for you guys, you're going to get a 14-day free trial, but most importantly, you're going to get a title history report to make sure that you're not already a victim. Like I said, time is of the essence. So the quicker you find out something is wrong, the quicker you can fix it before it goes through selling your house, taking out a mortgage, having to go through, no matter what, if you're a victim, you're going to have to go through a civil suit. That part of the law has not changed. Even if someone gets arrested for the crime, it doesn't take away what you have to do as the homeowner. So what we offer is our $1 million triple lock protection. It's amazing. I love this company and what they do. It's 24/7 monitoring of your title records. You get notified urgent alerts. You get notified as soon as something is changing, or if there's just any changes regarding your title, you're going to get notified. You're going to be in the know. And then 3, if you're a victim of fraud, we're going to jump in immediately and start taking care of it. So we're going to do everything that needs to be done according to your state, your municipality. We have a network of legal professionals across the U.S. that help us because every state is a little different. And basically our goal is to be there for you as a homeowner so you don't have to do this all yourself.
HometitleLock.com. Promo code is Gruber so you can get that special that Natalie just laid out for you. HometitleLock.com. The promo code is Gruber. Natalie, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Steve. Always great to be with you guys.
Frightening story. Again, HometitleLock.com, $1 million protection. It's great protection for my friends at Home Title Lock. HometitleLock.com. Promo code again is Gruber. Protect yourself today. And I'll be right back. All right, here's a warning about the stock market from a CNBC anchor. All right, this is, you can take it for, whatever you think of it. Andrew Ross Sorkin issuing a stark warning that stock market returns are going to crash. He says a crash is almost inevitable. And then he asserted, this is on 60 Minutes with Lesley Stahl, no friend of the president, obviously. Lesley Stahl is not. But Sorkin has been a mainstay, a steady voice on CNBC for a number of years. He asserts that American corporate leaders are too intimidated to speak out against the president or his policies for fear of retaliation. Maybe a merger doesn't go through. Maybe they get targeted for some sort of an investigation, that sort of thing. That's what he claims. Here's the quote. My own view is that most CEOs in America today are scared to speak out publicly against anything. Too worried that they're going to be potentially attacked by the administration or regulated. They're going to have a merger in front of some agency that's not going to be allowed to go through. They're so nervous about criticizing anything that's going on with this administration. Expressing his fears of a looming financial crisis, Sorkin's broader warning centered on what he describes as an AI-driven bubble and a rollback of post-crisis financial regulations that he says echo the speculation-heavy environment preceding the Great Depression. During the interview, Stahl pressed Sorkin on the role business leaders should be playing in today's economy. She noted that some economists suggest investors should feel secure because President Trump is focused on the stock market and he would never let anything bad happen. Well, that's one take. That's one take. I slept great last night again. I'm telling you, folks, I switched to the Ghost Bed, 3 months ago, maybe 4 now. I have the Aura ring that monitors my sleep every night, and I had another great night last night. Ivy and I love this bed. It's American-made. You can try it for 101 days at home, no risk. And I think you're going to be pleased. I get the emails from some of you that have tried the Ghost Bed. You love it, too, and I appreciate the feedback. But what about you? Not sleeping well, tossing and turning too hot? Maybe the Ghost Bed is the answer. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's your mattress. Ghostbed.com. Promo code is Gruber, all right? There you have it. Ghostbed.com. Promo code is Gruber. The sale continues, plus an extra 10% off for you. Ghostbed.com. Promo code Gruber. Sleep like a Gruber. That's what I say, and I'll be right back. You know, we've got this social media phenomenon that continues to multiply daily. And it doesn't matter what the platform is. You know, it started with Facebook, really, and then it went to X, and then TikTok, and, you know, Instagram, and all these places. We're more connected and lonelier than ever. That's a fact. Anxiety. Loneliness. You hear about it all the time. Frank Kelly is the CEO of Kelly and Associates Insurance Group, a financial services and integral solutions, collectively known as Kelly Benefits. And he's joining me now because he's put together a pretty deep look at this. Frank, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Steve. Great to be here.
Yeah, the collapse of community in modern America and how we fix it. You've got a new book, Love and Go. Look, everybody's distracted. Everybody's got a device, or 2 or 3 or 10. Whether it's the TV, the phone, the connection inside your vehicle, you can't escape this stuff. You know, you're basically on an electronic tether 24 hours a day, and unless you fully decide to remove yourself from that. And we're more connected and have fewer actual human connections than ever. What are your thoughts?
Right. Well, thanks, Steve. This book, Love and Go, it's a faith-based book. Love is about the great commandment. What does it mean to love God completely, others compassionately, yourself correctly, and then go and share God's love and truth in word and deed? And one of the chapters is the power of community, these 12 powerful truths. But the importance of being connected, not only to God, but to others. It's easy oftentimes for us to isolate, especially with our phones or laptops, computers, get stuck in a space. But the value of being connected to others in community and fellowship is just so important. I believe God's created us and wired us to be connected, to fulfill our potential when we're connected with others in community.
But that doesn't happen on TikTok, does it? Or pick your dating app or whatever it might be. You're not connected to anybody. It might feel like you're connected, but it's really it's fake, isn't it?
It is in many ways. I mean, we can certainly learn from these technologies, but the value of being connected one-on-one or in a small group, we learn more in circles than rows. For those who attend church, the importance of being connected in groups of people, that type of fellowship and connection is invaluable.
Yeah, so, a lot of people are returning to church now in bigger numbers than they have in many years, but we need to do more. And look, I hear people say, yeah, I don't like organized religion. I understand that. I can see where you'd be skeptical, but on balance, I meet more good people in church than I do anywhere else. That's a fact. I meet more good people there. Are they all perfect? No. Am I perfect? No. But more good people that are at least striving, for the most part, to do better, to be better, to live better, to love better, right?
Right. Absolutely. And church is important. It's an important part of community. But at the same time, I grew up attending church, but still kind of missed the deeper meaning of what it meant to have a relationship with God. I had some religion, and what God desires most with us is a relationship. And from that relationship, I think flows the ability for us to connect and love and serve others and walk with integrity and do things the right way.
How do you find a community today, Frank? Where do you go to find real community? Not the false electronic community that so many people are tethered to, but where do you find real community in the world today, besides church?
Right. And I love this definition of community, a place where you are loved and are loved, serve and are served, know and are known, and can celebrate and are celebrated. It's got to be in connection with people. And there are online groups, but there's just tremendous value. I find the greatest opportunity through the local church. I'm also involved in some organizations, ministries like Fellowship of Christian Athletes, where, again, you're around other people who desire to grow in their relationship with God and desire to grow in their relationship with others. I think we need to be intentional about pursuing connection and fellowship.
I think that leads back to the home as well, Frank, because something else that happened when I was growing up, and we try to do it, but we're not as good at it, and that is just a family meal. Right. People used to sit around the dinner table and talk about things. Now, we go out, Ivy and I do, and you'll see a family of 4 over there, and they're all staring at their phones. They're not even talking to each other at a restaurant or whatever. You see it every day. We have a rule in this house. If you sit down to a family meal, at home or in public, the phones go away. It's a small step, but it's an important step. You actually talk to people that you care about. And even that small connection with your family is incredibly important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, I think we need to be intentional, especially as parents, fathers, mothers, leaders, to make sure that phone's off to the side. Hey, when we have meals together, we don't have that phone on at all. But you know what? We have to be intentional about even creating those dinner opportunities, those lunch opportunities. And part of connection, like we were talking about, and avoiding loneliness outside the home is meeting for breakfast, meeting people for lunch, meeting for dinner or after dinner in small groups. Nothing more important than that time together as a family, that ability to connect and get caught up on what's going on. I often love just taking our kids to sports. I always tried to coach their teams mainly because I knew they'd be in the car with me going to practice and back home. So those chances where we can be together are invaluable.
You know, there's one other thing that I don't know if you touch on it in the book, but I think it comes to mind talking about all this, and that's the electronics in the classroom. I've seen some schools in the last year saying, you know what, no more computers in the classroom, no more phones in the class. Just they've taken the phones away long ago, but take away all of it. Go back to using books, teaching kids properly, being teachers, being students, and what they have found is the kids interact more at lunch. They goof off more in class, but that's part of growing up. And they're not just sitting there staring like a zombie at a piece of electronics. And I think maybe we need to start to correct that issue as well. Bring kids back from the edge of the electronic devil and let them be kids again. Teach again. Interact again and get away from all this electronic learning. I mean, my kids in school, what'd you do in class today? Well, they played a video on our Chromebook, and then they had us answer a question on the Chromebook. What'd the teacher do? Sat at her desk. That's not teaching, that's babysitting. And it's not even good babysitting. Last word to you.
Now, another great point. I think, there's value in reading, writing, but writing, with your hand on paper. I have a little chapter talks about the power of journaling and, writing write for your soul. I think we learn best when we are involved in using our hands, our eyes, hands on paper, communication in the classroom, not just one-on-one with an instrument, a phone or a tablet. Very important.
Very important. And here's something else that I do. Just read real books. Don't use the Kindle. Don't use your device. Read real books. It's something special about books. Frank, good to see you here today. His book, Love and Go. Get an actual copy, all right? And thumb through it.
Copy.
Yeah, there it is. Bring it. There it is. There it is. Love.
Yep. Love and Go. 12 Powerful Truths for a Blessed Mind. You can get it on Amazon or at frankkelly3rd.com. Very practical book about what it means to love and go and fulfill your potential. Peace.
Frank, thank you very much. Really appreciate it, sir. Have a blessed day.
Thanks, Steve. God bless you. Peace.
Yeah, God bless you. Get rid of the phones whenever you can. I don't care if it's dinner. You can't look at your phone playing cornhole. I learned that over the weekend. And I dominated, by the way. Fear me. Anyhow, I'll take a break and be right back. All right, let me pick right up on what I was telling you about there. And that is eliminating these computers. Chromebook is apparently, it's great for the computer company. They get to sell new ones every year by the millions. Good for their bottom line, but where do all those computers go? What landfill are they in, I wonder? Something to wonder about. But here's part of that experiment. Part of what I was telling you about getting the computers out of the classroom altogether and what happens to the children. They bloom. They bloom. Listen to this.
So tech-free in this school district has meant no Chromebooks or any other screens in class unless the teacher gets an exception from the principal, which they said was the whole point, stopping to ask, why does this particular lesson need to be digital? So I first came to the school on a Wednesday when laptops were allowed. The class and the hallways were both really quiet. But on Thursday, with laptops put away, the class was a lot more chatty. They were goofing around a little bit more in the hallway, and several 8th graders I talked to said they really like the switch. It gives them a break, they have fewer headaches, and they talk to friends more. But I also saw survey results that showed a lot of students actually hated it. And one of the main reasons was they still had homework on the computers, but now they just had less time to work on it. And there were other practical issues. Classrooms ran out of paper, they didn't have enough dictionaries around, and teachers had to do a lot of changes to their lesson plans. But overall, teachers supported the change. They just wanted more time to plan.
Let me get this straight. You can't find enough dictionaries? Get the World Book Encyclopedia planted in the classroom. Dictionaries? You can probably buy those at the used bookstore for $1 or $2. Look, they're cheap. Get dictionaries. Make sure everybody has one, knows how to use one. And writing. When you write in cursive, it wires your brain in very positive ways. These kids can't write in cursive. They can barely write their names. Since 2010, when we rolled out electronics in the classrooms, test scores across this country have plummeted. Plummeted. It's not getting any better. In fact, it's getting worse every single year, and everybody knows it. So why do we persist in trying to force these computers into the classroom? Because it's easy for the teacher. It's easy. That's why I was just saying, my kid goes to school. What'd you do in class today? We watched a lesson on the Chromebook, and then what? Well, we took a quiz on the Chromebook. Then what? Then we had to watch some extra credit stuff on the Chromebook. What'd the teacher do? Sat at her desk. That's it. And tried to tell kids to quiet down or sit still or whatever they do, but it's not teaching. If your entire lesson is prepackaged, it's not teaching at all. It's no different than prepackaged food. Not the same as made from scratch, now is it? No, the answer is no, it's not. It's not as good. It's not as fortifying. It's not anything. It's a waste. So continuing with this idea, and kids create relationships when they teach and they learn and they talk amongst themselves. And at lunch, they talk to each other. I don't want electronics anywhere near the school. It's proven to be a failure. So just admit that it failed and stop spending your money on Chromebooks and spend your money on paper and dictionaries and textbooks. That's the way it should be. It only worked for a few thousand years. Think it'll work again? I'm quite certain of it. By the way, here's something I saw yesterday. Speaking of relationships, speaking of communicating with people, of interacting with people, how do you have a good marriage? I saw this couple on social media, and I chuckled, and I thought, well, I'd like to share that with the folks. So here's some advice, and it can be applied to a marriage or any relationship, I think, but here's your marriage advice for today. Listen.
We've been married for 56 years.
And here's everything that we've learned about fighting.
Never fight in public. No one wants to hear you air your dirty laundry. Have enough respect for each other to do it in private.
Don't give the silent treatment. Trust me, it doesn't resolve anything, and many times it just makes matters worse. If you need to get some fresh air, fine, take a walk. But when you come back, communicate. It's all about communication.
Don't go to bed angry. It can fester and make it worse. Just agree to work it out tomorrow and tell her you love her.
Try not to argue in front of the kids. They pick up a lot more than you think, and it could have a lasting impact on them.
Not every fight is worth having. Sometimes you just gotta let it go. Don't let your pride get in the way.
Sometimes you just have to bite your tongue. Once those words get out, you can never get them back. My grandmother would say, aqua in boca. Keep water in your mouth so you don't say something you're going to regret later.
Keep water in your mouth so you don't say that you're going to regret. Oh, and one last, you're going to see a theme here. And get rid of the damn cell phones. Talk to your spouse. Have a conversation. Don't sit there and stare at your phone when you should be talking, sharing, experiencing the relationship. There's my counseling for today. The doctor is in just 5 cents. All right. AMAC exists for one reason, to fight for you. While organizations like AARP grow closer to big government, AMAC is growing stronger in Washington to defend the values that made America great: faith, family, freedom, and opportunity. Here are the things that AMAC believes in: freedom of religion and speech, the right to keep and bear arms, free enterprise, and personal responsibility, common sense solutions instead of government control. And AMAC refuses to stand by while radical policies from blue states threaten our families, our livelihoods, our safety, and our future. AMAC is no longer just an alternative to AARP. They are the leading conservative voice for seniors and patriotic Americans. With a rapidly expanding presence in Washington, D.C., AMAC is standing toe-to-toe with AARP's massive lobbying machine and winning. Join AMAC today and help us replace failed big government policies with common sense pro-America solutions. America needs AMAC, and AMAC needs you. Stand with us today. Just go to AMAC. That's amac.us/RAV. amac.us/RAV. It's a much better alternative. All right, coming up after the break, Brock Palmbush, all refreshed from his time off, ready to deliver sports like no other after this. All righty, time to check in on sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The New York Knicks finished off a 4-game sweep of the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals with a 130-93 thrashing last night in Cleveland. Karl Anthony Towns led the Knicks with 19 points, 14 rebounds. They're in the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. Jalen Brunson was named MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. Andrei Svechnikov scored at 14:01 of overtime to give the Carolina Hurricanes a 3-2 victory over the Montreal Canadiens in Game 3 of the NHL's Eastern Conference Finals in Montreal. Hurricanes lead the series 2-1. Game 4 tomorrow night in Montreal. American League winners in Major League Baseball yesterday included Baltimore, Chicago, and Seattle. National League winners included Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and the LA Dodgers. Houston shut out Texas 9-0. 3 pitchers combined on a no-hitter in that game. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, coming off this Memorial Day holiday weekend. Well, the beer that made Milwaukee famous isn't going to be doing that anymore.
PBR?
Schlitz. Owned by Pabst, by the way. Well done, Anthony. Pabst owns Schlitz. They're pulling the plug on it. The beer that made Milwaukee famous. Schlitz began losing popularity all the way back in the 1970s when they changed the recipe and changed its flavor. The brand later sold to Stroh's in 1982 and then Pabst in 1999. It's a historic brand, 177 years, and too many bad headaches to recall. I'm just going to say it's lousy beer. Just lousy. Anyhow, it's going away. Yep, it's going away. And so next Memorial Day, there'll be no Schlitz for you. You can still get PBR, though. So, Anthony, don't fear. You'll be all right.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. Anyhow. Don't forget, we have a new podcast dropping every Monday morning. New one dropped yesterday. We'll have some previews for you coming up tomorrow because I didn't get it in today, much to Anthony's disappointment. But I will tomorrow, so you can see what's happening. You can always be a subscriber for free at YouTube. There it is, a QR code, all the great interviews now with me and Ivy and so many great topics, things you don't hear anywhere else. That's why it's Forgotten America, the podcast. Check it out at YouTube as we continue to grow and grow and grow just for you. Take a break and be back for the next hour after this.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now.
Yes, it does. Let's kick right off and get rolling right to it. Good to have you here. Greatly appreciated. By the way, here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, gas prices. Not deterring Memorial Day travel for anyone. In fact, it was a record-setting Memorial Day despite gas